Hey guys, it's Morgan J. Ingram here with the SDR Chronicles, and I have a special guest, Zach from Teem, and I'm really excited to have him on the SDR Chronicles. If you guys see him on LinkedIn, he's always doing push-ups for his SDRs. He's always crazy challenge, and always helping his team accelerate to hit their goals. So I got Zach on here today. He's going to introduce himself, and we're going to go into a couple questions to kind of dive into what his team is doing at Teem and how they're seeing massive success.
All right, Morgan, nice to be on here. I think the SDR Chronicles, it's a great series. You're doing a great job. I've been with Teem for about 6 months. Joined on to help build out the sales development organization. I'm the first person to really lead up the efforts here. So we're scaling fast and growing, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of push-ups lately.
You definitely have. So let's kind of talk about let's talk about the push-ups first, because I feel like that's where I was at. Where do these push-ups come from? What gave you the idea? And with the push-ups, have you seen your SDRs getting more focused and more locked in?
Yeah, so believe it or not, there is a little bit of a background to why I did that. It wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. I was talking to Dan Freund. He's the VP of Corporate Sales at InsideSales.com. So I run the local sales hacker chapter here in Salt Lake, and we had him as a guest speaker right when he joined Inside Sales after like a 25-year career at Oracle.
Right.
And we were talking about how he spiffs his employees. And he said that cash spiffs just never worked for him. Offering somebody a quick, $50, $20, $100, whatever for doing some above and beyond activity was never good enough for salespeople. And he found better results when he offered something intangible like lunch with an executive or some fun out of office activity. So I've been experimenting with things like that over the past year or so. And I found that sales development reps just love to see me in personal pain. So when I'm suffering, they're working extra hard. We've done it once before, and I decided to do it again a few weeks ago. It was the last last day of the month, November 30th. And with sales development, or I guess with the sales organization as a whole, the effort gets put on closing business the last day of the month, right? Everybody's watching, the channels in Slack or whatever software you use to see what's closing, and people take their eye off the ball when it comes to filling the pipeline. I wanted to make sure that my team didn't take their eye off the ball. So I said, hey, every call you make today, as long as it's a good, productive call, I will do one push-up. And I ended up doing 383. It was a lot of push-ups. I spread them out smartly. So I wasn't incredibly sore like I thought I would be. But it was a challenge, and they loved that every effort that they put forth yielded an immediate result, right? They could see the actual results of their efforts in the form of me suffering. But it was something, right? Like there wasn't, oh, I get my name in the lottery. It was, if I do this, this will happen. And I think that was really effective.
Awesome. And so that does make sense. And with that kind of that challenge, what else have you done besides the push-ups? Has there been other tested out that has been working besides money?
Well, sticking with the Zach suffering personally, I let anybody that hit their quota for the first 3 weeks of November smash a pie in my face.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't one of those wimpy pie tins filled with whipped cream. Like, we went to the grocery store and they picked the heaviest, grossest pies they could find. One of them picked like a triple berry pie, had to have weighed 5-10 pounds, and then dumped a whole bunch of whipped cream on it after. But he hit his quota for the first 3 weeks of the month. So he got a smear pie in my face, and he started with my chin and just went up and over to the back of my neck, and I was smelling triple berry for like 3 days. It was great, man. They loved it. It was fun. We live streamed it on Facebook and Periscope, and a great byproduct is we're getting a lot of applicants for people that want to work in a culture like that.
Awesome. And let's kind of talk about the culture. Like, how your team stay excited? Is your team a close knit team. You know, like here at Terminus, we have a very close knit team, and we're almost like family. So
Yeah.
have that close knit family feel, and also how are you able to excite your people to get to that level?
Yeah, very, very close knit. I'm a very hands-on leader, so we do daily stand-up meetings where we go over everybody's efforts for the day previous and what they have going on together as a team. We do weekly team meetings, and then I also spend at least 1 hour a week doing, what we call in the field work. We're an inside sales team, so we're not actually out in the field, but
Right.
where I'm working side by side alongside each SDR. So I spend a lot of one-on-one time with people, and then anytime we have somebody new starting, we go out to lunch as a team. We celebrate wins together. So I'll like at least once a month, I'll throw out some incentive that if they hit it, we'll go out to eat somewhere nice together as a team and spend time together.
Cool. Awesome. And with the new people, how do you make sure that someone is a good fit for your team? So how do
Yeah.
you tell, like, hey, is this person going to be excited? Do they have enthusiasm? Is that something that you solely look for? And like, how do you look for that? Because someone could not fake enthusiasm or could not be as enthusiastic and end up being super
Yeah. It's incredibly important to me. It's not the only thing that I look for, but it's one of the most important things for sure. So I come from the startup world. This is one of the largest companies I've ever worked for, and we only have like 90 employees. Um, I'm a huge believer in hire slow, fire fast.
right.
So I take my time. We do first interviews. Well, first we do a phone screen, and
Okay.
then we do first interviews with me, and then we do a cultural interview with people both from the sales development team and from other departments in the organization. And then we do a final interview with myself and our VP of sales.
Right.
We want to be very, very careful. If somebody seems like they'd be a pretty decent sales development rep, but might not be the greatest cultural fit, we'll pass and definitely are on the side of caution. Um, in addition to that, I really like people that go after the job like they would go after a prospect. I want people that are researching me and talking to me as if they have spent a lot of time figuring out what it is I enjoy doing both
Right.
in the office and out of the office. I love it when an applicant reaches out and says, "Hey, I saw that your SDRs were smashing pies in your face. Can I come smash a pie in your face when I hit quota? And I want to work there, and I want to be one of the people that's hitting the numbers." I love that. Shows
Yeah.
that they pay attention, they do research, and they take a unique approach, which unfortunately is pretty rare.
Yeah, it definitely is pretty rare. A lot of people apply to jobs and, they'll come into the interview and not even know what your company does. And you're like, wait, why are you here? Like,
I literally just passed on somebody today. I recruited him, and we had some great conversations, had a first interview, had a culture interview. Everything went really smoothly.
right.
And then our VP of sales did the final interview by himself because I was in Las Vegas at a conference. And he said, "Yeah, I wouldn't hire that guy." Really? Why not? Because he literally had no idea what we did. After meeting with you, after meeting with the team, and after having 2 weeks to really prep himself, he had no idea what we did, and that's a real concern. And I agreed with him. So we took a pass on somebody who's probably a pretty good worker, has had some pretty decent results in the past. Yeah,
That's but isn't that's kind of crazy though that you go into the interview and you don't know what someone does.
mind blowing.
So what do you think that is? Like, do you think that's just because they feel that they're skilled enough to not really know what you need to do and they'll figure it out when they get there? Or what do you think is like the blocking point there?
Yeah, partially. I think a lot of companies are just desperate for sales development talent.
Yeah.
A good sales development rep is incredibly rare. I recognize that, and I know that us being picky probably comes back to bite us every now and then. So I think a lot of SDRs know that they are in high demand and have other options, but at the same time, sales development reps tend to be a little bit younger, tend to be a little bit less experienced professionally, and need to learn the hard way common interview and business etiquette that they just haven't had yet.
Right, right. And so how can you, when someone gets in that role, and there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of activities that are going in, how do you hone in on someone so they do say excited about everything that's going on, but actually critique them in a way so their business acumen can grow?
In terms of an applicant or an employee?
And both.
Yeah. So in terms of an applicant, I haven't had a chance to talk to this person that we're passing on yet, but I plan on having a call with him and giving him some recommendations because I do see a lot of potential there.
Mhm.
And I think failure is one of the surest paths to success. So if he takes that failure in stride and recognizes what he did wrong, hopefully that'll pay dividends for him in the future, and maybe even we'll find a way to work together. In terms of employees, um, one-on-one coaching, man, it's about the one-on-one coaching. People tend to tune out in large group settings or even small group settings. So as much as I possibly can, my coaching is individual.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. And what would you say that you spend more time with other people based on what's going on, or do you have a weekly one-on-ones with each SDR?
So I have my weekly in the fields with every single SDR. What
Okay.
we talk about definitely varies based on the individual.
Mhm.
I'm over inbound and outbound, so not
Okay.
only do we have their individual skill sets and individual things that they're working on, but we also have the types of work that they're doing that varies. And then I do separate one-on-one meetings, and my one-on-ones are very, very numbers focused. They're not emotional. They're straight to the point. How do your numbers look? If they look great, awesome, the meeting's done. If they don't look great, okay, how does the pipeline look? If the pipeline looks good, awesome, the meeting's done. If the pipeline doesn't look good, then we talk about activity levels.
Mhm.
But it's always straight to the point with everybody, no exceptions based on personality or anything like that.
Yeah. So when it comes to that meeting, like when someone's doing great, that's awesome. Like there doesn't need to be really like a heart to heart there, but like if
No,
someone's doing bad, like if they, but they work hard and they're doing the work, what do you tell them? Like, how do you get them like reignited and on fire
yeah,
again? Maybe like maybe a month ago they killed it and like this month they're just doing really bad. What are you telling those
yeah. So that's super encouraging to me, number one. If somebody's willing to do what I ask them in terms of making
Right.
X number of calls and send X number of emails and do X number of social touch points, that's super encouraging. It means that they're probably pretty coachable,
Right.
and we can work on the skills. We can work on how you talk to somebody and how you write an email and who you target. And I always let them know that that's encouraging to me. And their job is not going to be in danger if they have a down month. If they have lots of down months, then obviously it will be. If they have one down month, but the effort's there, great. We take the time and we coach the bad habits out of them and teach them new good habits. So I just never operate out of fear. I never let somebody know that I'm, super disappointed in them because they didn't quite get the results that they wanted if they're working hard. Um, I coach out of love. I coach out of a true desire to have them succeed, and I think that resonates really well when you're genuine with people.
Definitely, definitely. And then what in this case, what if someone is like too excited? They get super emotional with what they're doing, like they're fired up and they're just kind of like very, very hot-headed in that nature. And then when things are going
Yeah.
bad, they're hot-headed in nature that negatively affects everyone on the team. Is that more so like that one-on-one conversation you have with them, or is it like how do you facilitate that?
Yeah, that would happen in our one-on-ones. I don't ever want to publicly shame somebody.
Right.
So yeah, if they have some bad habits that need to be worked on, I'll definitely bring it up and talk to them about it. I strive for the positive reinforcement, but you're right. Like every now and then somebody has something that they need to get rid of, whether it's, overly enthusiastic to the point of, coming across like a dog trying to hump somebody's leg, or um, sorry for the visual, but or if they, they're putting in the work but don't have passion behind it. I talk to people about that. Thankfully, it's pretty rare because we're so thorough in our vetting process when we hire people. But it's always privately and always looking at the positive and trying to build on those things.
Definitely. And what would you say is the number one characteristic of your top SDRs?
consistency. They don't get excited if they have a good week. They celebrate and then they move on. I think being consistent with your performance, with your efforts, is incredibly important. Predictability is key when you're a venture-backed, tech startup. You have to be able to forecast accurately, and you can't forecast accurately if you don't have consistent effort and results.
And with that consistency, is it a schedule that they have? Is it just are they just prospecting in the same places? Kind of how does that make up in their consistency work?
All of the above. I want people sending out new campaigns at the same cadence that we've proven to work for us every week. If they want to try something new, great, but I don't want them to abandon what works. I want them to A/B test very, very carefully and methodically, so that they don't lose all of their traction because they followed a hunch that didn't pan out, right?
Exactly.
So we're very careful with our A/B testing, and making sure that we always have, the one constant of, hey, this works. We know it works. So we're going to gather 50 prospects per SDR every week. And that's your bread and butter. We're going to test out other things too, but every week we're doing that. Every week we're making X number of calls. We're targeting X amount of companies in this range, X amount in this range, and just repeating it every single week.
Definitely. That's awesome. So kind of the last couple questions here. One, I read the article, it was around Thanksgiving, how you were thankful for your team and you kind of like shouted out a couple people. What excites you the most about your team, and like, what makes you like really thankful about it, so everyone in the audience can kind of hear about kind of what you said about them?
Traction. I think overall, I mean, I called out a couple of the SDRs for specific things they're doing. I think overall, for my team's sake, their traction is just very, very encouraging. Our trajectory is pointing up. We have a couple SDRs that have started in the past few weeks, and they're already performing, on pace with everybody else in the organization.
Right.
When I ask them to test out something new, everybody test it and they report their results, and I think that's super. What's the good word? I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the traction that everybody has, that their efforts are paying off for them and for our company.
Awesome. And Zach, last question here. What's the number one thing that you're telling an SDR when they start? Like, what's the number one thing? What do they need to do?
Well, the number one piece of advice I give people is don't think of sales development as a stepping stone into an account executive role. I think that's nonsense. I think it's possible. It might be the right move for some people.
Right.
But sales development and account executives, those are very different sides of the brain. And there are a lot of other ways to move up in a company rather than just moving to account executive. So here internally, we don't treat an AE role as a promotion from an SDR role. We treat it as a lateral move, which it really should be. But I give people the option to move into enterprise SDR roles, to manage SDRs, to move to customer success. And but I want people to know that sales development is a very, very needed and necessary and appreciated role. It's not the entry-level grunt job that a lot of companies think it is. That's not what it is. And if you're in a company that treats it that way, you need to find a new job.
Yeah, well, I love your point, because I've talked to a couple of times about this, is that a lot of people will get in the SDR role and they'll solely focus on the number to get account executive. And I feel like you can't really look at the end goal. You have to enjoy the process, because in that process, you can realize, hey, look, I actually don't want to be an account executive, or, hey, I don't want to manage SDRs. I actually want to go to customer success, or I actually want to go,
marketing, demand gen, whatever. Yeah.
There's so many other places you can go. And I think more people need to love the process of sales development to find out what they really need to do in the company, instead of, oh, I'm here just so I can be an account executive, because you could lose the entire skill that you're learning as an SDR.
Not to mention get burnt out very, very quickly if it doesn't happen on the timelines that you want.
Exactly. Well, awesome, Zach. It was awesome to have you on the SDR Chronicles today. Guys, this is the guy right here. You need to connect with him. You need to talk with him. He's doing some awesome stuff at Teem. And any final thoughts, Zach?
No, I appreciate you taking the time to have me on, and I appreciate the positivity that you bring to sales development. It's been very inspiring, Morgan.
Hey, I got to do what I got to do, right? So awesome. Well, Zach, appreciate you having the show. As I always say, guys, keep dialing, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks.